All right, let's talk about John Steinbeck's The Pearl. You know, on the surface, it almost reads like a fairy tale, right? You've got this poor pearl diver, Kino, who finds this incredible treasure. They call it the pearl of the world. And this thing, it's supposed to be the ticket out, the end of poverty, the end of suffering for his family. But, and this is a big but, this is no happily ever after. It's a flat-out tragedy, where that one promise of a better life ends up being the very thing that burns it all to the ground.
And that right there, that's the central question of this whole story. It's what we're really going to dig into. How can a treasure, something that's supposed to save a life, end up being the very thing that destroys it? I mean, how does this beautiful, valuable thing, found at the exact moment it's needed most, turn into a curse that just rips everything apart? A family, a town, even a man's soul.
So, to really get the pearl, you gotta understand what was going on with Steinbeck himself. Why Mexico? Why this story? It wasn't just some random choice of scenery. No, this was a very deliberate move by an author who was really wrestling with the ugly side of the American dream, something he'd already become famous for writing about.
Okay, so this timeline, it really shows you where his head was at. In 39, boom, The Grapes of Wrath makes him a huge star, but with that fame comes a lot of heat. Even the FBI watching him. So what does he do? He heads down to Mexico. And while he's there, on this trip in the Sea of Cortez, he hears this local legend about a cursed pearl. Then he's back in LA and sees the Zoot Suit riots firsthand, this horrifying racist violence. It's like the same oppression he wrote about, but now it's right in his face. So he goes back to Mexico with this story in mind, and get this, he starts writing The Pearl as a screenplay for a Mexican movie, trying to tell a real, honest story away from the whole Hollywood machine.
And this is super important. Steinbeck wasn't just writing some adventure story. He was creating a parable. What's a parable? It's a simple story that teaches a bigger lesson. He took this old folktale and turned it into a mirror for society. It's a story about good versus evil, about how wealth can corrupt. Everything in it, every single character, every action, it's all meant to mean something much, much bigger.
So how does this parable actually play out? Well, it all starts with Kino, his wife Juana, and their baby Coyotito. And their peaceful little world is just shattered when a scorpion stings the baby. It's a medical emergency, and this one event introduces us to the first real villain of the story. And it's not a person, it's the entire system of their town, La Paz.
And this quote, wow, it just says it all. This is the poison of the system in a nutshell. Kino and Juana are desperate. They rush their possibly dying baby to the doctor, and this is what he says. Have I nothing better to do than cure insect bites for little Indians? Just feel the contempt in that. The doctor sees them as less than human, like animals. He's the face of this whole colonial power structure that's been grinding Kino's people down for hundreds of years. The real barrier isn't his fancy gate. It's this massive wall of racism and greed.
So they get turned away. Kino, in his desperation, goes diving and finds the pearl of the world. And the news just explodes. Steinbeck describes it like a shockwave hitting the town's nervous system. And in that one moment, Kino goes from being invisible to being every man's enemy. The same town that couldn't care less when he was poor now looks at his pearl and thinks, that's mine. It's like you can almost hear the poison sacs of the town starting to fill up with venom. And just look at how fast everyone starts scheming. The priest, he's thinking about fixing up the church. The shopkeepers, they're picturing all the clothes he's going to buy. And the doctor, the same guy who wouldn't see them hours before, suddenly goes, oh yes, he's a client of mine. Everybody, I mean everybody, from the pearl buyers who are basically a cartel, all the way down to the beggars on the street. They don't see a person, they see a piggy bank to be smashed open. This is that huge external enemy he's facing.
But here's where the story gets really brilliant. And really tragic. The town's greed, that's not the whole story. That alone doesn't doom Kino. There's another enemy, one that's just as powerful, and it's inside Kino himself. His own flaws, his own pride and temper, they're like the dry kindling, just waiting for the town to provide the spark.
To really see this, let's look back at that original legend Steinbeck heard. In the old story, the guy finds the pearl, gets attacked, and he immediately gets it. He realizes it's a curse and just chucks it back in the ocean. And he's happy because he's a free man again. But Steinbeck changes this on purpose. His hero, Kino, he doesn't let go. For him, the pearl gets all wrapped up in his pride, his idea of being a man, his dreams for his son. It stops being a rock and becomes, well, he even says it himself later, it becomes his soul.
Now, his wife, Juana, she has the wisdom of that old legend. She gets it.
After someone breaks into their house to steal the pearl, she sees the writing on the wall crystal clear. She can feel the evil this thing has brought into their home, and she just begs him, "This pearl is like a sin. It will destroy us. Throw it away, Kino." She's the voice of reason here, pleading with him to choose them, his family, over this object.
And Kino's response? This is the moment it all goes wrong. Joanna, seeing he won't listen, tries to throw the pearl away herself. He catches her, grabs it from her, and hits her, hard. And his reason? 2 chilling words. I am a man. That's it. His pride, his ego, it's become this monster. He's so defensive of this pearl, which is now tied to his sense of self, that he attacks the person he loves most. He can't see a difference between the pearl and his own worth anymore.
So you see what's happening? We've got these 2 massive forces on a collision course. On one side, you have the greedy, racist system of the town. On the other, you have Kino's own pride, his stubbornness, his growing anger. The pearl didn't create any of this, but it's the catalyst. It's the thing that's going to make them smash into each other, and the explosion is going to be catastrophic.
And man, things go downhill so fast, it's terrifying. It's like a domino effect. First, the town's greed sends someone to attack him. Then, Kino's own pride makes him hit Joanna. That same night, he's attacked again, and this time, he kills the guy. And just like that, he's a murderer, an outcast. They smash his canoe, his way of life, they burn his house down, and suddenly, they're running for their lives, with trackers on their trail.
Steinbeck does something really cool here to show us what's happening inside Kino's head. He uses music. At the beginning of the story, Kino hears the song of the family. It's all about safety, warmth, peace. But as he holds onto that pearl and gets more and more violent, that song changes. It gets ugly, aggressive. It becomes a battle cry. He's not a family man protecting his home anymore. He's a warrior, and his own family is just collateral damage.
This right here, this is the core of the whole tragedy. You can survive in this town. I mean, look at the doctor. He's a terrible person, greedy and cruel, but he's doing great because the system is set up to reward guys like him. And then you have Kino's brother, Juan Tomas. He gets it. He knows how the world works, and he survives by being careful, by not making waves. But Kino gets destroyed. Why? Because his personal flaws, that temper, that pride, run headfirst into the cruelty of the system. It's that intersection of the man and the machine that proves to be absolutely fatal.
So this collision, it forces them to flee. Kino, Joanna, and little Coyotito are now up in the mountains, hunted like animals. They're exhausted, they're desperate, and there's nowhere to go. Think about it. Everything he wanted from the pearl, safety, a better future for his son, respect, it's all been twisted into the exact opposite. Now all they have is danger, fear, and this hopeless run into the wild.
They're hiding in a cave. Kino knows he has to make a move, has to attack the trackers before the moon comes up and gives them away. He's getting ready, and then Coyotito, the baby, makes a little sound. One of the trackers hears it, and he says this absolutely bone-chilling line. "I've heard a coyote pup cry like a baby." Then he adds, "If it's a coyote, this will stop it." And he lifts his rifle.
In that exact moment, Kino lunges. The rifle goes off. But the sound that comes after the gunshot, it isn't an animal. Steinbeck describes it as this awful, rising, hysterical cry from the cave. He calls it the cry of death.
And there it is, the ultimate price. It's just soul-crushing. After Kino kills the trackers, he looks at the pearl one last time, but he doesn't see his dreams anymore. No rifle, no wedding, no son learning to read. All he sees is the nightmare he's created. He sees his son, Coyotito, dead in the cave. The very pearl he found to save his son from a scorpion's poison has become the reason he died from a bullet.
The way they walk back into La Paz, it's one of the most haunting scenes you'll ever read. They're not walking single file anymore like they're supposed to. They're side by side, like they're equals in this terrible shared grief. They seem almost beyond human at this point. And the town, the same town that was buzzing with greed over their fortune, it just goes silent. Everyone just shrinks away from them, from these 2 towers of darkness.
They get to the shore, and Kino, he finally offers the pearl to Joanna. It's like he's finally admitting she was right all along. But she tells him, "No, you do it." And he throws it. He hurls the pearl back into the ocean, and its evil song is finally gone. But that leaves us with one last heartbreaking question. Remember the boy in the old legend? He threw the pearl away and was free? Kino did the same thing.
But is he free? He's lost everything, his home, his boat, his son. Can you ever be free after that? Or is the damage, the price he paid for his pride, just too great?